Thunderous explosions light up the night sky, deep inside Russia. Ukrainian drones have hit their targets again, and this time it's a crucial Russian drone manufacturing plant. On April 23rd, Ukraine's general staff reported that a drone strike hit a plant in the Alabuga Special Economic Zone of Russia's Republic of Tatarstan during the previous night. The strike was carried out by Ukraine's unmanned systems forces in coordination with other military branches. Alabuga is around 620 miles from Ukraine's border with Russia, demonstrating once again Ukraine's ability to evade Russia's air defenses to strike deep within Russian territory, far from the front lines. As is customary, Russia played down the strike. The Russian Defense Ministry claimed that Russian air defenses shot down one Ukrainian airplane-type drone in Tatarstan at about 12:20 p.m. local time, without providing further details or mentioning Alabuga specifically. However, Astra and other Telegram channels shared purported footage of a drone being shot down, with the SHOT channel identifying the drones as Aeropract A-22 and UJ-22 airborne unmanned aircraft. The Aeropract A-22 Foxbat is a Ukrainian two-seat, high-wing, tricycle landing gear ultralight aircraft known for its versatility and simplicity, with a design that combines metal and composite materials for durability and lightness. It originally entered production in 1999 as a civilian microlight, but has been modified by Ukrainian forces into a long-range, unmanned combat aerial vehicle, or UCAV, for military use. It has an 80 to 100 horsepower engine and has a cruising speed of 100 miles per hour, with a flight range of approximately 683 miles, so Alabuga is certainly within its range. The UJ-22 Airborne is a multi-purpose Ukrainian unmanned strike craft developed by UKR Jet, capable of operating in day and night environments as well as in all-weather conditions. It can fly at altitudes up to around 19,600 feet, and at its cruise speed of around 75 miles per hour, its autonomous function gives it a range of around 500 miles. That's not quite far enough to reach Alabuga on paper, however perhaps the Ukrainians have modified some versions to give it extra mileage. In its strike version, the UJ-22 can carry 6 RPG-7VM grenades or 4 82mm mortar mines for a total payload of up to 45 pounds. It can hit a target from a distance of 2,300 feet with an error of just 32 feet. That means that although the payload is too light to take out heavy armor or reinforced structures, the UJ-22 is ideal for sneak attacks on oil and weapons depots. The fires and secondary explosions caused by the initial impact can still inflict major damage. Both UAVs have been used extensively by Ukraine, both on the front lines and for its increasing number of strikes on Russian military and energy facilities deep within the Russian heartland. So it would come as no surprise if they were used again here. What did they hit? The target was a drone factory that produces Iranian-style Shahed drones, their Russian-made variants Gerans, and decoy drones. But it's not just an old drone factory. This appears to be the same important facility first exposed in 2023. Citing leaked documents, The Washington Post reported in August of that year that Russia was setting up a production line in Alabuga, Tatarstan, where it was aiming to build 6,000 attack drones by the summer of 2025. The plan was to dramatically scale up production of a Russian version of Iranian Shahed drones, which would improve on Iran's dated manufacturing techniques. Earlier, the groundworks for the plant had been captured on satellite imagery by Maxar Technologies, which was subsequently released by the White House. U.S. National Security Council spokesman at the time, John Kirby, said that the plant could be operational within a year, and his prediction turned out to be accurate. According to Andriy Kovalenko, an official at Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council, over 6,000 Shahed-type drones were produced in Alabuga in 2024, along with thousands of decoy drones. In 2025, Russia intended to produce 8,000 to 10,000 Shaheds or Gerans and 15,000 decoys at the Alabuga plant. Are those targets still achievable following the strike? It's still unclear. The General Staff said that there were confirmed hits and explosions in the target area and that the damage was still being assessed. But it's probably not the first time Ukraine has hit the Alabuga plant. Just over a year ago, on April 2, 2024, Ukraine reportedly struck industrial facilities in Russia's Tatarstan, including a manufacturing facility for Shahed-type attack drones. The press service of the Republic of Tatarstan confirmed that strike, claiming that drones had hit industrial facilities in Alabuga, but that the enterprises hit were not disrupted. How many drone manufacturing facilities can Russia possibly have in one industrial zone? It's almost certainly the same plant that was hit again now. On the same evening as the Alabuga attack in April 2024, Ukrainian drones also hit one of Russia's largest oil refineries, also located in Tatarstan, in the city of Nizhnekamsk. according to a source in the Security Service of Ukraine, the SBU. The strike hit the refinery's primary oil processing facility, which has an annual production capacity of around 8 million tons, amounting to 2.6% of Russia's total annual oil processing capacity, the source said. This was the latest in a series of Ukrainian strikes on Russian oil facilities, which Bloomberg estimated had already disrupted between 12 and 14% of Russia's total refining capacity. That's got to hurt, especially for a nation so heavily dependent on oil revenues. A few days earlier, Ukraine hit another drone-related target in addition to the Alabuga plant, this time in Kursk. Ukraine still doggedly holds a small piece of Russian territory in the Kursk Oblast, having been finally forced out of its last major stronghold in Sudza in March after an 8-month occupation. On April 23rd, Secretary of the Security Council of the Russian Federation Sergei Shoigu claimed that the entire territory of the Kursk region will be cleared in the near future. That seems likely, given that Ukraine's priorities have switched to more urgent sections of the front. Ukraine proved that its drones can still strike Russian territory, even when its troops and artillery can't. On April 21st, the General Staff reported that Ukraine's Air Force had struck a Russian drone launch site near the village of Tekhino 2 days earlier. The attack killed up to 20 drone operators, the statement read. Russian forces reportedly used the facility to prepare, equip, and launch reconnaissance, strike, and FPV or first-person view drones. Images provided in the report appeared to confirm a major explosion in the village. The report came a day after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had proposed a 30-day ceasefire on long-range drone and missile strikes against civilian infrastructure. The so-called Easter truce, proposed by Russian President Vladimir Putin, had just ended, a partial success. Zelensky noted that the air raid sirens had been silent on Easter Sunday, his reason for proposing the ceasefire on air-based strikes. On the front lines, both sides reported numerous violations of the ceasefire by the other. Ukraine claimed over 3,000 violations by Russia, while Russia claimed almost 5,000 by Ukraine. But there were also reports of a cessation of hostilities on several sectors of the front, with footage showing both sides taking advantage of the pause to evacuate dead and wounded troops. There are hundreds of thousands of troops in countless positions engaged in heavy fighting all along the 750-mile front, and it usually takes days, if not weeks, for a ceasefire to be fully implemented by all units on both sides. So perhaps this partial implementation is the best that could have been expected on such short notice. Russia, of course, rejected Zelensky's proposal and the strikes resumed with the same intensity as before the Easter truce, if not greater. On the same evening that Ukraine hit Alabuga, Russia launched a massive drone and missile strike of its own. These attacks happen more or less nightly, but this one seems to be the largest airstrike carried out by Russia since Christmas 2024. The Ukrainian Air Force reported that 145 drones and 70 missiles had been launched. Of those, it said 48 of the missiles and 64 of the drones had been downed, with a further 68 drones disappearing from radar without being shot down or causing any damage. Those are likely to have been decoy drones, which are used to confuse and/or waste air defenses. Iskander-M ballistic missiles, or the North Korean KN-23 analogs, KH-101 and Caliber cruise missiles, KH-59 or KH-69 air-launched missiles, Shahed or Geran, and other types of drones were all used in the attack. The missiles and/or drones that weren't downed mainly hit the cities of Kyiv and Kharkiv. Ukrainian Interior Minister Ihor Klimenko said that Kharkiv, Zhytomyr, Dnipropetrovsk, Khmelnytsky, Poltava, Sumy, and Zaporizhia oblasts had also been hit. Interestingly, the Air Force report doesn't list any Iskanders among the missiles it shot down. Some of the footage of the explosions in Kyiv is indeed suggestive of the Iskander's extra payload. All the other missiles used in the attack carry a payload of around 1,000 pounds, while the Iskander can carry up to 50% more, around 1,500 pounds. And some of those blasts looked nasty. The Russian Ministry of Defense statement about the attack stated curtly that Russian forces had struck enterprises of Ukraine's aviation, missile, aerospace, and armored vehicle industries. It added that the targets of the strike were achieved and all objects were hit. But on the ground, the picture tells a somewhat different story. In Kharkiv, Mayor Ihor Terekov reported that drones and missiles had struck the city 24 times overnight. The attacks injured one person and damaged multi-story residential buildings, a clinic, a school, a hotel, and industrial enterprises. Elsewhere in Kharkiv Oblast, another 4 people suffered injuries due to Russian drone attacks near Kupiansk and Chuhiv, Governor Olesy Anerbov reported. A first responder was injured in a Russian double-tap attack in Zhytomyr Oblast. 2 people were injured in the Nedra-Hailev community in Sumy Oblast, and in western Khmelnytsky Oblast, a Russian attack injured 2 people, including a child, as per Governor Serhiy Tyrin. A gas distribution point, 2 residential buildings, and an apartment building were also damaged in the attack. But the main target of the attacks was clearly the capital. A series of explosions rocked Kyiv around 1 a.m. local time, followed by additional explosions around 4 a.m. In the aftermath, Ukraine's state emergency service said that 12 people had been killed and 90 civilians, including 6 children, had been injured. Kyiv City Military Administration Chief Timur Tikachenko said that fires had been reported in residential buildings and that cars and commercial buildings had also been impacted. 31 of the injured victims remain hospitalized, Kyiv Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said, adding that a rescue operation was ongoing to retrieve victims stuck under rubble. Later it emerged that the deaths occurred as a result of a missile hitting an apartment building, and according to Zelensky, it wasn't a Russian missile, but one made in North Korea. According to preliminary information, the Russians used a ballistic missile manufactured in North Korea. Our special services are verifying all the details, Zelensky said on X, without providing further details. Based on Ukrainian investigations into missile debris from Russian strikes carried out in early 2024, it's clear that Russia certainly has attacked Ukraine with North Korean ballistic Kim-Skanders in the past. These missiles are analogous to the Russian Iskander KN-23 and KN-24 model and are capable of carrying a 1-ton warhead, more powerful than its Russian equivalent. But they turned out to be defective, so the Russians seemingly stopped using them sometime in mid-2024. In May 2024, Andriy Kostin, head of the Prosecutor's General Office of Ukraine, reported that almost half of the North Korean missiles that Russia launched on Ukraine during the winter of 2024 did not reach their target because they exploded in mid-air. So it's more probable that the missile that hit the building was an Iskander. Russia has an estimated stockpile of 200 Iskanders, with the ability to manufacture 40 more per month. But at a minimum cost of $1.6 to $2 million each, it's unusual for them to waste Iskanders on a low-value target like an apartment building. It's entirely possible that Putin was sending Zelensky a cold-blooded message. Earlier in the day, the US's attempts to broker a peace deal seemed to falter over the US's proposal that Ukraine should recognize Crimea as Russian. That's a notion that Zelensky flatly rejected. The Kremlin then reiterated its demands for a ceasefire. These include Ukraine recognizing Crimea and the 4 oblasts occupied by Russia as Russian territory, and withdrawing all forces from the areas on those oblasts under its control. They also include neutral status for Ukraine, i.e. no NATO membership, and an end to all Western military support. Needless to say, Kyiv rejects all of that out of hand too. So Putin might have taken his anger out with more innocent blood, or maybe the missile was struck by Ukrainian air defense on its way to a higher value target, deflecting it onto the building. And if that's the case, the target was likely to be a Ukrainian drone-related facility. At the moment, Putin seems to be obsessed with taking out Ukraine's drone capabilities, and for a very good reason, as the latest strikes on Alabuga and Kursk attest. Ukraine's drone strikes are way beyond a nuisance for Russia. Russia's air defenses have proven quite adept at dealing with traditional air-based threats, as have Ukraine's. The fact that it's rare to see combat fighters from either side venture within range of enemy air defense systems tells us that. But even the most advanced Russian radars seem to struggle to detect low-flying threats like Ukraine's attack drones. And if you can't detect it, you can't shoot it down. That's one of the main reasons the successful Ukrainian drone hits keep totting up. Another is the sheer size of Russia. As HUR Brigadier General Yuri Shiol puts it, they have one big plus, they have a lot of defenses, but they also have one big minus, a huge territory. There is no amount of equipment that can protect all of Russia. Another factor in the increasing success of Ukraine's drone strikes inside Russia is help from inside. Shiol says that the deep strike drones are improving mostly because of intel. Specifically, HUR is finding more Russians willing to help Ukraine, even to the point of setting up navigation equipment waypoints ever deeper inside Russia. By the effectiveness of our drones, you can tell that they have far more traitors to worry about, because there are far more people who set up the special systems that guide our drones, he notes. But the major factor is, of course, the improving quality and range of the drones themselves. In March, Ukraine announced the latest advance in the ongoing drone race with Russia, a drone with a range of over 1,850 miles. Our drone with a 3,000-kilometer range has passed testing, Zelensky stated during his evening address on March 17th. Although details of the new drone remain sketchy, it's thought to be a longer-range version of the Palianitsia missile drone announced by Zelensky in August 2024. While most of the weapon's characteristics are classified, it's known that the Palianitsia is powered by a turbojet engine and is launched from a ground platform, rather than from an aircraft or ship. It's believed to carry a roughly 44-pound fragmentation or other warhead, and to have a range of roughly 300 to 450 miles. According to the video Ukraine presented publicly, the Palianitsia is capable of reaching 20 airfields deep inside Russia. One of those is the Savoslayka Air Base, about 413 miles from the Ukrainian border, which was one of 4 struck during a massive aerial attack against Russia on August 14, 2024. But with around 5 times the range of the Palianitsia, this drone brings many juicy new targets into range. And same as for the Russians, prime targets in Ukraine's crosshairs are likely to continue to be Russia's drone production, storage, and launch facilities. On April 4th, Ukrainian drones hit the city of Saransk in Russia's Moldovan Republic, some 465 miles from the border with Ukraine. The building that was hit was identified as a factory belonging to the company Fiber Optic Systems. Russian investigative outlet Insider identified Fiber Optic Systems as the main producer of optical fiber in Russia. In the ongoing race for drone supremacy between the two nations, fiber optic drones are one area where Russia has a significant head start over Ukraine. These drones aren't guided by GPS like most other FPV drones, but are guided via miles of fiber optic cable that attach them to the controller. That makes even relatively slow, simple drones impossible to bring down using current electronic warfare technology. And Russia's introduction and mass production of such drones have given their offensive a fresh edge and were a key factor in their recapture of Sudza. It's not clear which drones Ukraine used in the Saransk attack, how many struck the building, and how much damage was caused. No casualties were reported. But it's clear that for both sides, drone-related targets are a major priority. And Ukraine is also developing ways to thwart the increasingly sophisticated electronic warfare, or EW, that the war has shown to be the most effective way to combat drones. There are now tens of thousands of jammers straddling the front lines of the war, defending against drones that are not just killing soldiers, but also destroying armored vehicles, other drones, industrial infrastructure, and even tanks. Ukraine has been using the Estonian-made Ghost Dragon quadcopters since 2022, which have been continuously upgraded as EW evolves. The latest versions, which have been tested since December 2024, use a smart frequency hopping system that constantly scans the available spectrum, looking for bands that aren't jammed. It allows operators to switch among 6 radio frequency bands to maintain control and also send back video even in the face of hostile jamming. The drone has been augmented with a spoof-proof algorithm that compares satellite navigation input from 4 main satellite positioning services: GPS, Galileo, China's Baidu, and Russia's GLONASS, with data from onboard sensors. That provides protection against sophisticated spoofing attacks that attempt to trick drones into self-destruction by persuading them that they're flying at a much higher altitude than they actually are. But like Russia's fiber optic drones, the Ghost Dragon has the ability to navigate autonomously, without access to any global navigation satellite system. To determine its position, the onboard 1 GHz machine vision-enabled computer runs a neural network that compares views of landmarks with positions on a map. More precisely, to determine its position, the drone uses real-time views from a downward-facing optical camera and matches them with stored satellite images. That's some next-level technology right there. But if drone technology keeps evolving at its current breakneck pace, even this ingenious innovation will be obsolete within a few years. But drones won't be. That's especially true for a nation like Ukraine, fighting against a much larger, richer power. As Serhiy Skorik, commercial director at Kuvertus, a Kyiv-based electronic warfare company, puts it, a missile is worth perhaps $1 million and can kill maybe 12 or 20 people. But for $1 million, you can buy 10,000 drones, put 4 grenades on each, and they will kill 1,000 or even 2,000 people or destroy 200 tanks. They can even take out drone manufacturing plants 600 miles away. But what do you think? Which side is winning the drone race and why? And if you think Russia has the edge, what should Ukraine do to seize back the initiative? Please share your thoughts in the comments, and thank you, as always, for watching.